What's going on, everybody? Doc here, Average Gamer Guys. Welcome to my pre-release kit. So what I thought would be kind of interesting, and I hope you had a chance to get out this weekend and enjoy some Aetherdrift pre-release yourself. We had the opportunity to do that at a local game store on Friday night. I had a ton of fun. Very casual environment, the store I go to, which I really appreciate. Gives a lot of opportunity to just enjoy the game, enjoy the process, have some fun for a new set. And yeah, what I thought would be interesting here is I have loaded up my pre-release kit here in Moxfield. I'm going to walk through it, and I'd like some feedback on what maybe you would have built. So I'm going to roll through the cards, showcase exactly what we pulled. We had some really nice luck, actually. I think we had a pretty decent sealed pool that honestly could have gone a couple of different directions. Once we get done with that, I will jump over, give you some time to take a look. We'll walk through some of the highlights, at least that I saw, but we'll walk through the cards. I will then jump over and share with you what we built and how we ended up doing. I think kind of a neat experiment and just really interesting. I've always thought that discussing and talking through kind of the different builds and the things that people focus on can be really, really helpful. So if you're looking for some tips and tricks with sealed or with limited formats, we're starting to do a little bit more here on the channel. We're going to be jumping in this week when Aetherdrift releases on MTG Arena. I'm very excited for that. We'll jump into some sealeds and some draft of that. But I thought this would be kind of fun, kind of interesting, and something a little bit different. So without further ado, let's jump into it. And like I said, in the comments below, I'd like you to let me know what colors you would have focused on, and maybe the one or two standout cards in each color that maybe would have you go that direction. I will tell you that we definitely made our money back, and you'll see here why from this pre-release kit in just a minute. So let's start off with white here. Brightfield Mustang, pretty interesting little saddle. White is definitely focused on mounts and vehicles, and we had a couple of the really solid ones, including this rare Bulwark Ox, which, if you're not familiar, this creature attacks while saddled. You can put a 1/1 counter on target creature. You can then sack that creature. Creatures you control with counters on them being hexproof and indestructible. So very, very cool rare. 2/2 for 2, really neat. Saddles for 1, pretty awesome. We also had the Cloudspire Captain, which gave mounts and vehicles you control +1/+1, and it's a pilot, so it can saddle and mount things with 2 or greater. Skylight Synergist here, flying. This creature gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. We had an Interface Ace, another great saddle and mount card, robot pilot that basically untaps every time that you saddle it on your turn or mount it on your turn. We have Lotus Guard Disciple, which is a flying 2/2. Whenever it enters, creature or vehicle, gains lifelink and indestructible. Rides in, probably one of the best removal in the format, especially at common. Exiles a target creature or vehicle, and it costs 3 less to cast on a tapped permanent. Roadside Assistance, you can enchant a creature or vehicle. It makes a 1/1, and then that permanent gets +1/+1 lifelink. We did get this cool version of Spot Cycle Scouter, which is a vehicle. When it enters, it scries 2, and it crews for 1. We had the legendary Sundial Dawn Tyrant, pretty good. 3/3 for 2. I actually really like this creature. Interestingly enough, it's also an artifact, which is not, not something to shake a stick at. And then we have the Voyager Quick Welder. We actually had 2 of these, making artifact spells cost 1 less to cast. Going down to blue, we had Aether Siphon, starts your engines, draws you a card, and whenever you draw, an opponent will mill. Great kind of tempo play with Bounce Off, returning a creature or vehicle to its owner's hand. Bye-bye unsummon, hello Bounce Off. Gearseeker Serpent, costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. You can pay 6 and it can't be blocked. Glitch Ghost Surveyor, start your engines, flying 2/2 at max speed. You can exile it and draw a card. Holler's Heavy, a cycling 4-mana creature, Steel Pirate 3/4, that whenever you cycle, you can give a target creature -3/-0, creature or vehicle. Midnight Mangler, I'm actually think this one's pretty cool. It's a 2-mana 3/3 artifact vehicle that during turns other than yours is a creature, which I This is really neat. I've seen this get played, very, very cool, and it cruise for 2, which I thought was really cool. Ranger's Refueler here, artifact vehicle. Whenever you activate an exhaust ability, you draw a card. It has exhaust for 4. You put a 1/1 and it becomes an artifact creature. You have Spectral Interference. We ended up getting 2 of these, countering target artifact or creature spell unless the controller pays 4. One of our rares, Aetherdrift Fabricator here, artifact vehicle flying. Whenever you draw your second card, you make a 1/1 flying Thopter, cruise for 2, body of 4/4, and then we had Trip Up, which is an instant returning target non-land permanents, target non-land permanents owner puts it on their choice at the top or bottom, and it cycles for 2. As we head into black, we had Bloodghast for the rare. I think everybody's pretty familiar with this. Pretty cool, landfall, it can return. We had Deathless Pilot, which is essentially a zombie pilot that for 4 can return and has the pilot synergy. Demonic Junker, another rare here in black, affinity for artifacts when this vehicle enters. For each player, destroy up to 1 target creature that player controls. If a creature you controlled was destroyed this way, you put 2 1/1 counters on this vehicle, cruise for 2. We also had Gonti, Night Minister. Whenever a player casts a spell they don't own, that player creates a treasure token. Whenever a creature deals combat to one of your opponents, its controller looks at the top card of the opponent's library and exiles it face down. They may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Mana of any type can be spent to cast the spell this way. Very interesting rare. Very interesting. We had a Grim Bobble. I think this is probably one of the best commons in the set as well. When this artifact enters, target creature gets -2/-2, and opponent controls gets -2/-2. You can pay 3, tap, and sack to surveil 2. Hour of Victory. If you saw my kind of pre-release prep video that we did, we talked about this card, and I like it. Neat enchantment, starts your engines. When it enters, you make a 2/2 for 3 mana, and at max speed, you pay 2 and sack it. You search your library for a card, and you put it in your hand. Seems pretty cool. Maximum Overdrive, I think, is going to be one of the better combat tricks in the set. It allows you to put a 1/1 counter on a target creature. That creature gains Death Touch and Indestructible until end of turn. Very cool. Momentum Breaker, a 2-mana enchantment. Start your engines. When it enters, opponent sacrifices a creature or vehicle of their choice. Each opponent who can't discards a card. So this one's interesting too, because you always seem to get some value out of this, and then you pay 2 generic to sacrifice it and gain life equal to your speed. So it's pretty interesting enchantment, almost like a food, almost too. Very interesting. Pact Altair, whenever this artifact or another artifact you control enters, each opponent gains a life. Each opponent loses life and you gain a life. We had 2 Ripclaw Wranglers here, artifact vehicles. When they enter, each opponent discards a card, cruise for 2. The Sheffet Archfiend, flying. When this creature enters, all other creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn, and you can cycle this bad boy. Streaking Oil Gorger, flying haste, start your engines, max speed. This bad boy has lifelink, and it's a 5-mana 3/3. And then Wreckage Wickerfolk, artifact creature Scarecrow, flying. When this creature enters, surveil 2 on a 1/3 body. We jump over to red. We have Burner Rocket here, flash artifact vehicle that comes in, gives target creature +2/+0 and gains trample. Pretty interesting for 2 mana. Another one of our rares, Burnout Bastronaut. We have the Goblin Warrior Menace that starts your engines, pay 2. You can pump this thing, +1/+0. And max speed, this guy gets a double strike. Dracusaur Auxiliary. Dinosaur, Dragon, Mount. If you're looking for dinosaurs in the format, here's one to keep an eye out. 4/4 flying haste for 6. Whenever this creature attacks while saddled, deals 2 damage to any target and saddles for 3. Endrider Catalyzer, starts your engines at max speed. You can add 2 red mana for 2, 3/1 body. Gilded Goda, a horse mount. Whenever this creature attacks while saddled, you make a treasure token. 2/2 for 2 with saddle 1. Pretty cool. Mag McKin Artillerist, Elemental Pirate. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, this creature deals that much damage to each opponent, and then you can cycle this, and when you cycle it, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Pretty interesting. Prowcatcher Specialist, 2/1 for 2 mana haste, exhaust for 4. Put 2 1/1 counters on this creature. Push the limit. For 7 mana, you can return all mount and vehicle cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. You sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Vehicles you control become artifact creatures until end of turn. Creatures you control gain haste till end of turn. We did also get this cool looking Spire mech cycle. which is a 5/4 artifact vehicle for 5 haste. Exhaust, you tap another untapped mount or vehicle you control. This vehicle becomes an artifact creature. You put a 1/1 counter on it for each mount or vehicle you control other than this vehicle. Very interesting. And I've actually really come to like the exhaust abilities that are not specifically tied to mana. We had a couple throughout this course of this this kit, and I thought some of these were pretty neat. And then we had 2 Thunderhead Gunners, which are 4/5s for 5 mana reach with discard a card, draw a card, and you can only activate as a sorcery and once per turn. We jump down to green. Pretty interesting to take a look at, I should note. We had a pretty even amount of cards. 12 white, 11 blue, 14 black, 11 red, 13 green. We'll have 6 multicolored and some artifacts, so something to keep in mind. Pretty balanced kit overall. Beast Rider Vanguard, you can pay 5. Look at top 3 cards. You can put a permanent card from among them into your hand, rest on the bottom of your library, any order. 2 mana for 2/2. We had Broken Wings. Again, another fantastic removal spell. This is the Aetherdrift, not the Foundation one. 3 mana to destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Earth Rumbler, another really interesting artifact vehicle here. Vigilance, Trample for 5. It's a 7/6. You can exile an artifact or creature card from your graveyard, and this becomes an artifact creature until end of turn and cruise for 3. We had 2 Green Belt Guardians, which can pay 1 to give target creature trample and has the exhaust ability for 4, turning it from a 2/2 into a 5/5. We had 2 of the Gibrick Omnivore, which are just vanilla, 2 mana, 3/2s. I think green cares about this a little bit more than most, but it is funny to see a few of those. Migrating Ketradon is a 6 mana, 6/6 reach. When it enters, you gain 4 life with cycling. Point the Way, which I will note, seems really cool, but way too slow. Just throwing it out there. I think 4 mana to activate this is too much, but I digress. 1 mana enchantment starts your engines. You can pay 4 and sack it. You search your library for X basic lands, where X is your speed, and you put those cards onto the battlefield, then shuffle. I understand starting your engines and playing this for 1, but having to wait until turn 4 to then ramp seems like a little too much to me. That's just my opinion. Rise from the Wreck. This one's really interesting. Sorcery for 3 mana that lets you return up to 1 target creature, 1 target mount, 1 target vehicle, and 1 target creature with no abilities from your graveyard to your hand. So technically you could get 4 things back if you have the right targets in the graveyard. Very cool. Stampeding Scurryfoot, one of the better commons, I think. 1 mana, 1/1 with exhaust for 4, putting a 1/1 counter on it and making a 3/3. So you get your 4 power out of your 4 mana. We had another vanilla, the legendary dinosaur Ooze, by the way. 2 and 3 green pips for a 9/7. That's it. That's the stat line. Venom Sack, Lagak, Lizard Mount, Death Touch for 2, 2/1 body. Whatever it saddles, it gets +0/+3. Saddles for 2. Pretty cool little creature. It's a multicolored here. Had the Apocalypse Runner, 2, a red and a black. Artifact vehicle, tap, target creature you control with power 2 or less gains lifelink until end of turn and can't be blocked. Cruise for 3 on a 6/5. Pretty interesting. Explosive Getaway. We had just the base version, not the extended version here. But for 5 mana, 3, a red and a white sorcery, you exile to 1 target artifact or creature. And that can be your own, which is probably what you want to do. You return to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step, and Explosive Getaway deals 4 damage to each creature. Basically a Boros board wipe, which is really interesting. A couple of our rares here back to back. Fearless Swashbuckler. 1, a blue and a red fish pirate with haste. Vehicles you control have haste. It's a 3/3 that whenever you attack, if a pirate and vehicle attacked this combat, you draw 3 cards and discard 2. Very interesting. The Astral Thrill Seeker. Start your engines. 2 mana, 2/3 when this creature enters. Deals 1 damage to target opponent, and you gain 1 life. This guy's pretty interesting because he essentially automatically gets you to 2 speed on turn 2 if you are able to play it on turn 2 because of its ping ability. So that part is really cool. And at max speed, this creature has both Death Touch and Haste. So even late game, pretty interesting. Sky Serpent Seeker. This is the blue-green ramp card. Very cool. With Flying, Death Touch, Snake for 2, Exhaust for 4. You reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal 2 lands. You put those lands into the battlefield tapped, rest in the bottom of your library, and you put a 1/1, counter on this creature, making it a 2/2. And then we had a lot of like really good signpost uncommons, I will say, which is why I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are. But we had Veteran Beast Rider as well, which is a creature human knight. Beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control. Very cool. For 4, you can Anthem, pump, all your creatures get +1/+1 until end of turn. This is a 3/4 body. And then finally, we'll jump into the artifacts. If you're skipping ahead, you already saw it. But first one here, Skybox Fairy, 4/4 for 5, flying, crew 2, cycling 2, artifact and vehicle. We did get the cool one. And then we did open, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we did open an Aether Spark. We actually opened a foil one. It's over here. I'll grab it in just a second. Absolutely awesome hit. Absolutely awesome hit. I will just give this away. We put this in our deck because there's no way we couldn't. If you're not familiar with this, it's a 4-mana legendary artifact planeswalker equipment. Yeah, that's a mouthful. As long as Aether Spark is attached to a creature, it can't be attacked and has, whenever equipped creature deals combat damage during your turn, just combat damage, by the way, you put that many loyalty counters on the Aether Spark. You can up it 1 loyalty to attach the Aether Spark to 1 target creature you control, and you put a 1/1 counter on that creature. You can minus for 5, draw 2 cards, minus 10 to add 10 mana, and starts with 4 loyalty, essentially jumping up to 5 on your first equip. This thing is awesome. I'll just say that. This thing is awesome. We had a Ticket Tortoise, which is a 2-mana 3/1 defender. Whenever it enters, if opponent has more lands, you create a treasure. We had a Walking Sarcophagus, which starts your engines at max speed. It goes from a 2/1 to a 3/3 for 2 mana. This one's actually pretty interesting if you're in the artifacts. I could see that being pretty good. Wreck Remover, we had 2 of these. Whenever it enters or attacks, you can exile 1 target card from a graveyard. You gain a life. It cycles for 2. And it's played for 4. And then we had some lands here. We had an Amonkhet Raceway. Start your engines, add 1 at max speed. You can give a creature haste. We had the Avishkar Raceway. Start your engines, add 1 colorless. Max speed, pay 3, tap. Discard a card and draw a card. We had a Jungle Hollow. Most of these enter, or all these dual lands at common, enter tapped and gain you a life. This is the green-black one. We had Rugged Highlands, which is the green-red, the blue-white, and the green-blue. And then we had 2 of the uncommon lands, Reef Roads, which essentially make pilots. Both enter tapped unless you control a mount or vehicle, red and green respectively. And you can make a 1/1 colorless pilot that crews power 2 bigger than it is. So I am going to step aside. I'm going to scroll back through very slowly, taking a look at the rest of the cards, give you a chance to review it. Again, let me know down in the comments below which options, what colors at least you would go to, and maybe a signpost card or 2 that points you that way. And then I will jump over and we'll talk about what did we actually build. All right, and in case you didn't believe me, foily Aether Spark. I know, sorry. Probably a bad picture and probably being cut out because I have the green screen behind me, but it's here. I got it. Absolutely awesome pull. Was super, super excited, like pack 3 ripped it open, so had to just showcase that a little bit. All right, hopefully that was a good opportunity to take a look at what we had pulled here. And again, in the comments down below, let me know what stood out to you. What colors would you have been? Is there a signed postcard or 2 or 3 that you would have been looking for in each of the colors? Let's jump now over to our build. So we ended up going white, blue, green. And mostly because of a few key components here. We did 24 non-land cards, spells, creatures, permanents, and otherwise, and 16 land. Here's why. We had a relatively low curve, which was really nice. We actually had a game where we got stuck on the majority of the game on 3 lands. We opened with a 3-lander and just kept pulling spells. And we actually ended up still winning that game, which was crazy. We had a really, really low curve here. First and foremost, the Aether Spark. Okay, this is just an absolute insane bomb. My whole goal with the build was to take Aether Spark and do what I could to not only find it, but ensure that I could play it. So I wanted to really focus on that. The second piece was I didn't have really any specific color that was super, super good with removal. I had a couple of good pieces in essentially each of these colors that I wanted to utilize. The other 2 reasons I really wanted to play this color combo was Sky Serpent Seeker here and Veteran Beast Rider. Both of these uncommons ended up being absolutely amazing. And I had the fixing to support with Night Market allowing me to... I might not have said this. I think I might have missed that as part of the pre-release kit, so I do apologize. But Night Market allowed me to have basically color fixing, and then I had both the Thornwood Falls and the Tranquil Cove. All great cards, fantastic. So we're able to kind of have a decent color here. I did get stuck a couple of games on colors, but not too terribly. I usually was pretty consistent at hitting my mana. And interestingly enough, 1 or 2 of the games that I did get a little color stuck, I was able to use the Aether Spark to give myself 10 mana and really push some things out. Now, what's interesting is I didn't have a crazy top end. So besides these and the mana setup, this is how we went. On green, we used the Scurryfoot, which is an absolutely amazing first turn play, and mana sink later on, giving us some good protection. Greenbelt Guardian, I actually really liked. 2/2 for 2 was awesome. Giving the ability to have trample was cool, but more importantly, just being able to, again, drop 4 mana on it and turn it into a 5/5 at a moment's notice was pretty awesome. Venom Sac was a great blocker and offensive weapon from time to time. Broken Wings, again, probably one of the best removal spells in the format at uncommon, and especially for green. Rise from the Wreck was a kind of very late swap in. I think I had maybe another creature in here. I got to play this, I think, 2 times. We played at our local game store. We played 3 rounds, best of 3, obviously, for those. And I think out of the handful of games that I played this twice, and I was very consistently hitting 2, sometimes 3 targets. I think 1 was 2 and 1 was 3 targets with this. Now, obviously, I have a lot of artifact vehicles here. I have quite a few mounts as well, and then some other creatures. I didn't have any vanilla in the deck, but this was really good. For 3 mana to get 3 targets back was awesome. And then Earth Rumbler was super, super fun. I didn't get a chance to play this a ton, but I think the one of the 2 games I did, it just easily ran away late into the game or later into the game, turn 5, turn 6, crewing this up and then attacking with it, and being able to use the ability to exile an artifact or creature from your graveyard to then crew it without having to spend the crew power on it was really, really neat. In blue, we had some pretty good blue cards. The biggest reason I wanted to play blue was 2. I had good removal here and Bounce Off and Spectral Interference. This could kind of keep things off the board for me and also get rid of difficult threats. Midnight Mangler, I talked about this. This was a great 2 mana spell. This on turn 2 putting a 3/3 body that you don't even have to worry about crewing, that just turns into a blocker. Fantastic. Ranger's Refueler was pretty cool. We had quite a few exhaust creatures to take advantage of in addition to this itself. 3 mana, 2/2 for 2 was great. Drawing cards was awesome. And then Aether Siphon, same thing here. I just wanted blue to be able to help me siphon through some cards, get some card draw going. I didn't really care about speed in the deck. Just being able to pay to tap this and get the opportunity to draw a card was great. And then we pair that up with Thopter Fabricator. I played this in like 3 of the matches, and this just won me the game. 4/4 flyer for crew 2 that could then make 1/1s if we cycled or drew an extra card was just nuts. So I think the only one that I maybe would have thought about was Aether Siphon. I think maybe looking back on it, I probably could have swapped out for a different creature. But here in our blue was pretty strong. And again, probably our best, like, again, quote unquote, removal that we had, especially Spectral Interference. This was so hard to deal with. Like, I was countering some pretty crazy things with this, and there's just nothing you could do about it. 4 mana is tough. And then our white was really, really strong for 2 reasons. One, we had some really good mount vehicle synergies. Bulwark Ox was awesome. Being able to saddle this up, attack, you could put the counter on itself, making it a 3/3. That was really nice. Cloudspire Captain, I actually don't think I saw any of the games that we played. Lotus Guard Disciple was cool to be able to gain some life back and put a flying body on there. But the biggest reason that I wanted to play white was Voyager Quick Welder. This thing was awesome. I had 2 of these. This helped me to essentially ramp out a ton of the artifacts that you saw in the deck. It was really nice. Ride's End, fantastic removal spell. Just being able to exile a creature or vehicle was great. Right Field Mustang, I actually also really, really liked. When you saddle this and you attack while it's saddled, it untaps, you put a 1/1 counter on it. So if you do this the next turn after it's played, it becomes a 4/4 essentially with Vigilance. The neat part here is I can't tell you how many times I was able to interface Ace, saddle this guy up, attack with it, add the counter, have it untapped, and have interface untapped. And I have, 8, 9 blocking power still remaining after an attack. Pretty insane. So I ended up going 2-1, won our first 2 matches. I went to a game 3 as part of my 3rd match and lost a very, very close 3rd game. That was like really, really grindy that I just barely did not squeak out. And honestly, could have if I would have seen a little bit of a different line early on. New cards, that's always going to happen. So ton of fun. I was able to play the Aether Spark quite a bit. If you see this thing in your draft or your sealed pool, play it, play it, play it. It is great. I will tell you, I didn't use the 10 mana as often as I thought. What was just even more impactful was being able to move this from creature to creature. This with the Bulwark Ox was awesome. Moving it to creature, putting the 1/1 counters on it, letting that creature attack and gain those additional loyalty counters on the Aether Spark, and then being able to just draw 2 cards from this was great. I think I drew 2 cards probably 4 times, and I think I did the mana maybe once over the course of the games that I was able to play it. Getting to 10 loyalty seems like a lot. With this thing, it was not at all. Especially if you're playing this on turn 4. I was able to play it on turn 3 one time because of one of these guys. Actually, no. It was still turn 4. I had to turn 3 this. Yeah, turn 4. Playing this on turn 4, equipping it to a 3/3 creature, making it a 4/4, and then attacking with it puts this up to 9 loyalty. So, pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Now, you could bounce off or you could do a few other things. We didn't run into that spell a whole ton. The Aether Spark was absolutely awesome with me. And the deck was a ton of fun. The whole event was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed the sealed format of this. I can't tell you, I'm so excited for MTG Arena to update this week on the 11th. Give us a chance to jump into some games. Give us a chance, again, to jump into some sealed and some draft. Let me know what you think of the build. Let me know if you agree with some of the assessment that I made here. And I think my record was pretty good. I was pretty happy with it and just had a ton of fun. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. Won a few prize packs, which was cool. And took home a shiny, beautiful Aether Spark to cap the whole event off. So if you enjoyed this one, please consider subscribing. We're trying some different things here on the channel. I do really appreciate that. Love MTG, love all things MTG Arena. We also have a bunch of openings. We do these on Wednesdays. I actually have my Aetherdrift product in. So I had a bunch of Innistrad Remastered queued up for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to probably exchange back and forth. I got a Finish Line bundle. I've got a Play Booster box of the newest set, and then I've got 2 collector booster boxes as well. So we got a lot on the channel. Openings, we do those every Wednesday. If you enjoy that, be sure to stick around. I'm going to flash some socials. Again, help us get to 1,000 subs. That's our first big channel goal here, and then we'll continue to move forward from there. Really do appreciate the support. Likes and comments are great. Thank you so very much for checking this video out. And if you enjoyed it, let me know. Thought this was pretty fun. I think there's lots of opportunities to do this, get some community feedback, and hear what you would have built if this was you sitting where I was in my seat at pre-release. I hope you had a great pre-release, and I hope you enjoy the official release of the newest MTG set. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in it. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.